Wheel Nuts podcast. We are the only US-based Formula One podcast bringing you fan view of the Grand Prix races and Formula One as a whole. Today we'll be reviewing the Spanish Grand Prix, and what a race it was. I think we were a little bit spoiled with the three races right before the Spanish Grand Prix coming in, with the excitement, the level of activity throughout the field of passing. Nevertheless, the Spanish Grand Prix did not disappoint. Lewis Hamilton came out the winner, won by a mile. So I guess we'll start there. Let's start there.
Before we start, can we just wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day?
Yes, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
It's your mom that's making me wear this hat, so happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Happy
to all
Mother's
the moms.
Day to all the moms out there, and I wish Nick would just take that piece of tape off of his hat.
Nope, can't support the red.
We also have a red wheel nut as our official logo item.
Ferrari wheel nut.
Yep. Nick bought it. Anyway, back to the Spanish Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton all weekend. Well, actually, I would say from qualifying onwards, he really looked in the zone. Maybe for the second time this year, Australia, he was in there.
That pole position. Right?
He got a pole position on Australia, and then he just disappeared from the Grand Prix scene for a little bit. Mark, do you think that Lewis is back on it now?
I think so. I think it's time that he's back in the game. We want to see true racing between, especially him and Vettel. Ferrari was not there today, and I'm not touching on the Ferrari topic so much, but Hamilton definitely put his weekend together, and he was able to deliver in practice, in qualifying, and in the race. He was running his own race out front. So
pretty much.
Kudos to him. That was a well-deserved result for him, and especially at this time, much needed.
And Mercedes finally seemed to get on top of the tire issue. Robert, how much do you think the compound change that Pirelli put out, based on Mercedes' request, how much do you think that affected them?
Well, I think that it really did help them in Hamilton's favor.
You can admit it. You don't have to beat yourself up.
Robert, so are you agreeing that there was a request from Mercedes to change a compound? Because that's what Chris said just now.
I'm not agreeing with any request. I'm just saying that the tire compounds.
We got to remember that this was the request was made months ago, though. It wasn't just made yesterday.
Okay. All right. So let me put this way. You're a soccer team, right? And you have a great, let's say, a left fielder that could score all the goals from the left, right? But then your opponent has this great guy that can score from the right, and they go to the stadium owners and say, hey, can we eliminate left field so we can score from the right all the time? Is that okay? No.
Guys, first of all, tell me, when was the request made for the tires?
It was made during winter testing.
Okay.
When Mercedes was blistering their tires on purpose.
But it wasn't the fact that they weren't doing too well the first three races. Because the way it was written, it sounds like it was just made as a request, and it happened for this weekend.
But here's my issue with it. Should Pirelli be obliging based on teams' requests?
They've done it for Ferrari for years.
They haven't.
No. Name one instance when they made a request.
I'm not.
Exactly.
Why are we getting into conspiracy?
No, it's not a conspiracy. It's actually, we all agree that it happened.
You're not
all agreeing that it happened.
You're not going to blame
so
Hamilton's
win. So you're saying that it happened in favor of Mercedes.
We're gonna we're gonna chalk this up to listen. And this was a conversation Mark and I had with Ricky. It was the wing mirrors that Ferrari used that made them lose.
In my perspective, I think those wing mirrors are very nice.
They're ugly.
I think if they might be ugly, but what it shows
so
is
you're
that
agreeing
Ferrari
they're ugly. They're thinking out the box.
Creative and thinking out the box. And as somebody at FIA had to have approved that before it made it onto the car.
Oh, agreed.
And I can't understand why it made it onto the car and then you backpedal.
Well, they're saying,
that's my concern.
The FIA is saying that it didn't reach the specs.
Well, nothing makes it onto the car unless it's approved to be on the car.
I guess you're right, yeah.
All right. So we haven't even gotten to the start of the race yet, and there was a full-on argument here. So good to know. The enthusiasm lives. Get on to the start of the race. Vettel able to squeeze by.
Great start.
Great start from Vettel. He's able to squeeze by Bottas. Do you think, I'll throw this to Nick, I know you're not the biggest Bottas fan out there, but he's supposed to really be strip streaming Lewis while he's got his nose off to the side.
It's not
of
that
Lewis.
I'm not a fan of him. I just think he could be more aggressive. He's a great driver. Yeah, and he proves it. When he's all alone driving, he's a great driver. It's just that he's not aggressive enough to tame the beast that's Vettel.
So he's a great driver, not a good racer.
This shows how good Vettel is as a driver. From the starting of that race, this just shows how good he is starting the race.
Well, I mean, he couldn't get around Max with a damaged car, so I don't know how great.
No,
I'm just joking.
No,
Vettel's a great driver.
He's a great driver, and the start just shows that he's a much better driver than Bottas is. So there's no arguing.
Vettel, I mean, Bottas is a great number 2 driver. There's no doubt about that. You know.
There's no such thing as a great number 2 driver.
Years you watch Bottas drive, and he was able to put in blistering pace when he's driving. And like you just said, like when he's driving by himself, when he has to race, when he has to fight, when he has to go up against,
he's not a fighter,
and open his elbows up a little bit, he can't do it. Mm-hmm. So that's a concern. He can't race, but he can drive the car really quickly.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from Felipe Massa. I mean, he couldn't even do anything about Massa versus. You know, he's going up against 2 4-time world champions right now. He's going up against Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
And he can't really do anything at this moment. Continuing on, we had the Grosjean incident. Ericsson came out of nowhere. No, he didn't. Ericsson didn't do anything. Grosjean just lost it. We saw the onboard. He sort of caught some bad wind from behind his teammate's car, and he wasn't able to. He just sort of lost it on the outside. What a terrible accident! He's not having the year right now. Anyway.
No.
I thought Magnussen corrected, and that's what threw him off, right? Magnussen lost it a little bit, corrected, and Grosjean was on the side and threw him off.
He was behind. The dirty air.
Track position.
The dirty air.
And he was on the outside.
Fernando, I'll tell you, made it out lucky. I mean, he was right behind them too, and he happened to just turn out and go on the outside and go around.
My concern with the Grosjean thing, though, is that, I mean, from the looks of it, like, he just looked like he kept his foot in it.
Yes, he tried to correct it.
Yeah. But there's a whole pack of cars. Yeah. This is two turns for a Grand Prix. You know there's a whole host of cars coming up behind.
If it was me, I would have just stopped on this track right there.
Or run off. There's a good runoff zone there. He could have ran off and came back on the track. Yep. He could have finished the race. That's the concern with Grosjean. He's not finishing.
Yep.
Here's the issue, though. I have always liked Grosjean from his Lotus days. I remember him having great races with Raikkonen, putting in good performances. For some reason, he can't get up to terms with Magnussen this year. Magnussen is really outdoing him in the car.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Grosjean doesn't have any points scored at this point in the season, while Magnussen has all the points scored for Haas.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah, if this continues, I don't think he has a drive next year, and that's Leclerc's position.
You think Leclerc is going to go to Haas instead of
Ferrari?
Not this year. He's going to Ferrari, and if he's going to go somewhere else further up than Sauber, I would see Ferrari want him to place in another Ferrari team. So.
Correct.
So you see Kimi there next year?
In Haas? No.
Oh, in Ferrari next year?
Yes, definitely.
That's a topic for a different day. We'll continue that.
Was that your timer topic?
No.
Or topic timer?
And the next thing that happened on that race, we saw Alonso. I've seen Alonso do turn 3 moves in Barcelona quite a few times, and he put one on Ocon where he just drove around the outside of Esteban Ocon. That's what you want to see in Formula 1.
Yes, agreed.
Yes,
fully.
Agree.
And I know we had this debate over chat the other day. Nick, how do you rate Fernando Alonso versus Vettel versus Hamilton?
I don't see why. I mean, I'm still relatively new when it comes to being an F1 fan when it compared to you guys. But I don't see what the hype is about Alonso. He's a great driver. I'm not taking that away from him. But again, at the end of the day, he's got 2 championships.
I can say this. If he has the car that Lewis or Vettel has, he's all wrong the best driver on the track. For me.
For what? Nobody could show me why.
So, 2005, 2006, 2004, 5, 6, somewhere around there.
5 and 6.
5 and 6. Fernando put a Renault-powered car, Renault-constructed car, and, granted there was tires and all that stuff, the challenge then. But I think the respect that came from then is that he dethroned a 7-time world champion in the height of his career in Ferrari, and I think that's a lot of respect carrying
But I
forward.
think that's why everyone rates him like that.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but-
those same moves that you see today, that move in 2005 and 2006, Fernando was putting those moves on Michael Schumacher in a Ferrari. So,
He's
you know,
good.
I
He is
think
very
that's
good.
Okay, I'm not saying
And look
he's
at the
not
move
good.
that he did on Leclerc.
Yeah, that was experience.
That
though,
is
what he did
experience.
yeah, and you know, we've talked about Fernando in general, but I think to show his capability, you know, he comes to Indy and he's competitive. He goes to WC and he's competitive. He won over there. I mean, yeah, he didn't single-handedly win the race, but you know, I don't have a whole.
When it comes to the whole Alonso McLaren thing, you know, everyone still blames Honda for all these years, and he's a great driver, you know, nonetheless. But you can't blame the car fully for everything that, you know, he's done or he hasn't done. That's what I'm getting at.
That's actually a really good segue right now because on the whole McLaren perspective, we don't have Ricky here again.
He was here earlier, but he had to go home.
McLaren really, you know, they had all the hype that the whole front end is going to change. They brought out this great comical looking wing. The nose.
Or
The nose, yeah.
the 3 nostril nose.
But once again, they couldn't produce.
And this is where I keep saying it was not Honda's fault that they didn't produce last year or the last few years. Think about it like this. Your great driver, Alonso, last year, same track, qualified what? Did he qualify 5th or 6th? Yeah.
I don't remember.
Qualified 5th or 6th, right? With a lesser powered engine, a lesser aero package. Correct? This year, where did he qualify? Anyone remember?
10th.
10th, I think.
8th.
8th?
Yeah.
Oh.
Still good, but he's supposed to have more power this year and a better aero. What does that say? It's not Honda's fault.
Well, you can't just say it's not Honda's fault. When you drive a car, it has to be a total package. It has
Correct.
to be a car.
But you
it has
remember
to be
everyone blames
the
Honda.
motor, and it has to be the driver. So if one driver is extracting, so you have 2 strong drivers. Van Dorn, I think, is still a strong driver when you put him up against.
But
Fernando.
look
But
who his teammate is.
You
so.
have a strong driver able to extract so much from a car or the actual the package, so the car and the motor, right, or the aero and the motor. If you put the driver or take that driver out and you put another driver in, you're getting Van Dorn. So Van Dorn's performance is really the true indicator of the package, the total package of the car. So the other pieces, the half a second or whatever you're seeing with Fernando versus Van Dorn, that's Fernando's capability.
That's Fernando being the driver.
And
That's what you're saying.
I'm
right?
not. I'm not taking that away from him, but I'm sure Vettel would do the same thing if given the same circumstance.
No, I agree. They're different caliber drivers, but my thing is that if you put Fernando in a car with Lewis, Lewis is gonna have some competition. It's not gonna be.
I'm not saying no.
Sunday drives like this Sunday. Same for Vettel. He's not gonna have Kimi Räikkönen backing off every time because that's not Fernando. So, you know, I would like to see him. I don't think that McLaren is gonna produce a car for him like that anytime soon. But my only concern with this whole McLaren motor, Honda, and all that stuff is that so now they have the Renault motor. They're supposed to be competing with at least Red Bull, right?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not.
You think McLaren, the second most winning constructor in Formula One, should be competing with Red Bull because they have the same power unit. They should be able to produce the same car.
Correct.
Or not, or a better car.
I'd say better with all their given experience.
Well, we'll see what Monaco holds for them because they've, you know, all the years with Honda, they were like, oh, we're going to Monaco now. We're going to do something. We're going to score some points. And I don't think there's any excuse on McLaren anymore. They have to start producing a car that's consistently able to get into Q3 for both drivers, not just Fernando Alonso.
I agree.
As that race went on, Hamilton obviously was in the groove. He kept on putting fastest lap in, one after the other, with those new construction tires. Clearly, he's making them work for him.
And you're gonna have these tires for the next 3 races, so get used to it.
No, I think it's for Silverstone.
Silverstone and another track.
Yeah.
I can't remember which other one, but it's. I mean, it's good to see Hamilton back on it. I think we all watch Formula One. We want to see the prodigy versus the protege clearly, it's gotta. It's a good time to be a Formula One fan, in my opinion.
I had fun today.
Yeah.
Of course you had fun, but the race was good. There was nothing bad about the race. It's just that it didn't.
No, I'll be the first to admit it was a boring race up front.
Yeah, but there was some good battles. There were some battles
in the midfield.
No, I'm just saying up front. But I like boring races up front. So I've gotten used to it the last 3 seasons or four seasons.
And that, my friend, is the sound of a bandwagon fan. So, did you guys see the Vettel pit stop when Vettel went in? No, the first stop.
Oh yeah.
The first stop when Vettel went in, you had the Mercedes engineer following his tires as it's coming off.
I was trying to ask Mark. I was like, is he allowed to be there?
He can beat it up to the garage door, but
he was peeking his head in. He wanted to see the condition.
That was great. I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, I've seen them turning around the chairs and checking. That guy was standing there looking in. This guy went over and he was like on the tire.
Yeah.
I'll be pretty sure if he did that in the next race, he might have a shoulder in his face or something. You're gonna see Maurizio running off the pit wall.
He might get cut.
That was really funny. I mean, I love to see the trickeries that goes into Formula One, and for me, I thought it was hilarious. I had a good chuckle about it.
It's interesting that he was busy checking out the tire. That there's so much controversy around.
That's true.
Not getting into controversy.
Not to feed that anymore, but this was the track in 2013 where Mercedes had an illegal tire test with Pirelli. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Are we still doing this, Chris?
This was it.
Well, there is a relationship. There is history. It's been proven before, and you guys already admitted that they did change the compound. Whether it be 3-4 months ago before the season started, Mercedes obviously knew something happened. Something was going to affect them with this tire, so they requested a change.
When they request a change,
request granted.
Like when they do like a tire compound change, doesn't everybody sign off on this change, or
no?
What happens to your team?
Pirelli made it on the grounds of safety, which Mercedes claimed there was a safety issue. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just remember, Pirelli's Italian, right? So. Okay.
I hope Pirelli remembers that.
If not, someone's getting cut.
Yeah, and then Vettel came out of the pits. Mercedes was hoping that the
undercut.
Well, the overcut for Bottas,
for both.
would work, and then Vettel made that move. Obviously, that's the racer instinct of him. I mean, squeezing through between. I think that was Ocon. And,
I think it was Magnussen, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Yes, it was Magnussen.
It was Magnussen.
Right. But what I'm saying, my question was he allowed to cross that pit line, or as a car on the track? I know the guy coming out of the pit can't cut across.
Yeah, you can cross.
You can.
Okay.
The guy that was coming out can't cross the pit line.
Yeah.
Which was
because then it'd be unsafe.
Yeah.
But again, that shows the quality of driver that Vettel is.
Mm-hmm. That was just
also show the aggression that type of aggression is what Bottas needs to basically stamp yourself into there and say, I'm taking this piece of the track. You need to back out.
Yep.
Yeah, you could be sure if it was Vettel, he'd probably be right on that line coming out, saying, "Hey, I'm already here. Go ahead and try to pass that car."
Mm-hmm.
And then, he had the Kimi Räikkönen retirement. Is that crying boy? Bad luck for Kimi Räikkönen. He's been at the Spanish Grand Prix 2 years in a row.
He was there at the race, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Is he bad luck for Kimi Räikkönen?
I guess he is.
He could be, but it's an interesting retirement though because they just replaced his motor on Friday.
Yeah.
So, I highly doubt it's a motor issue. It might be, if anything, a transmission. But it's interesting. I'd love to hear what comes out of that.
Yeah. Then there's obviously a pretty good battle going on with Ericsson and Sainz. Then Alonso and Leclerc. What are your thoughts on Leclerc? How is he finally living up to the hype? Any one of you guys?
I could say he's a damn good defender. I mean, he had Alonso on his behind for half the race, and he would not let him pass.
Yeah, that's true.
It took Alonso some outsmarting him to pass him. So,
in a car that's much slower on qualifying speed.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's demonstrating his ability behind the car. I think we need to still give him more time before he can be promoted up to the
Ferrari.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready.
Maybe another year or two. How
I would say this year and another year.
Okay.
If he can get 2 years under his belt, he can be ready. He's demonstrated before entering Formula One that he's a good racer. He's got pace, but Formula One is a different beast. There's other aspects of Formula One that don't affect people, or may affect people differently. So you can be quick in other categories, but when you come up to Formula One, you have to deal with the emotions and the mental strength you have to demonstrate too. So.
And this is the second race that he scored points in for Sauber, so that's a good thing for him.
Yeah, second race in a row.
Second race in a row.
He came in sixth last in Baku. I think, you know, when Leclerc was coming in with all the great races he did in GP2, one of the things I looked for was, all right, he's got to stamp his authority on this team, right? So I was looking, all right, he's got to beat Ericsson. And for his first few races, he wasn't able to do that. Now come to Baku, come to the Spanish Grand Prix on both tracks that he's familiar with, he's able to put his stamp down. I think he beat, actually he did beat Ericsson by like 0.8 of a second in qualifying, so it's a pretty healthy margin. And in Baku, he beat him by about 1.3 seconds in qualifying. So that's, you know, equal terms, equal car. That's a mile in Formula One.
Yeah, I don't even know why Ericsson is still in that car. I mean, I've never been a fan of Ericsson. He's never shown me anything that to make me want to say this guy's got a future in Formula One.
Right.
Nothing at all. I don't even know why Pascal Verlaine lost his seat in that.
Actually, a lot of fans on the Formula One website were calling for Verlaine to come back.
Yeah, Verlaine would have been producing better in that car. He's shown that he could produce, but you know, there's the issue of paying for your ride. So
Yep.
I think that's where the commercial side comes in. But I think Verlaine would have been a great measure for Leclerc, because Verlaine at one point was seen as a successor for you know, either Lewis Hamilton or Nico Rosberg within Mercedes. Obviously, you know, a lot of the skills, you know, interpersonal skills didn't really work out in his favor. Force India didn't want him there. They chose Ocon ahead of him. But I do think Verlaine's time in Formula One is not over yet. I believe at some point we'll see him come again.
I would like to see that. I would like to see him come back.
Then you had Red Bull playing strategy again. It seems like every single race, that's what they have to do, because they can't do the qualifying.
Well, you know what's weird about the Red Bull this weekend? I think they had the fastest overall true pace the whole weekend before the race, between practice and qualifying. I think, was it Martin Brundle that made that comment as well? And when you go back and look, they actually had pace. And he said Brundle said it's weird to see that the car starting in third, that it has the overall fastest pace, same race pace. Same thing with Ferrari starting in second; they were the second fastest, and Mercedes, which didn't have the actual pace, starting in first.
Probably turned on that party mode after all.
It could be party mode, or it could be the tires, as you guys stated.
I'm pretty sure it is.
We're not going to talk about the tires anymore. So Red Bull ran very deep into the race. Virtual safety car came out. Then Ferrari decided they'll pit. Red Bull was obviously pitted before that. Ferrari decided they'll pit.
I didn't think that pit was necessary. I found, yes, it's a free pit during a virtual safety car, but you did not need it. It just brings out more room for error, which you saw what happened.
I think it was necessary. I think it just took too long. I don't know what happened, but it was a 5.6 second.
It wasn't a long pit stop. It was Perez came in and blocked the...
No. Perez was in ahead of him.
Well, they said it would have been an unsafe start if Perez, if they released Vettel.
So I'll ask this one to Mark. Mark is Mr. Ferrari. I'm also Mr. Ferrari, but I can't be too biased. Vettel at the end of that race came out and said he couldn't make it to the end. The pit stop was absolutely necessary. Do you think this is Vettel covering for the team, or do you think he genuinely knew that he would have to stop again?
I think that's Vettel absolutely covering for the team. That's him playing the Ferrari game.
Yeah.
That's him serving as the number one driver.
I completely agree with that.
And making sure he looks out for the team. Every time there's been a Ferrari lead driver, they always look out for the team's best interest. So if the team says you need to cover this issue so that the team doesn't look bad, then that's what Vettel needs to do. And he does it well. He does it graciously too. So that's why he will remain in the number one spot in Ferrari.
But Mark, he pitted at lap 17. He would have had to do 49 laps.
The tires are good for 50.
The tires are good for 40.
No, the
He would-
softs were.
No, the tires are good for 40.
Yeah, they were good for 40.
For 40.
laps.
So he would have
9
had to
laps.
done an extra 9 laps. And Verstappen would have been behind him with a faster tire. What are those options?
No, I believe that they should have pitted. I don't think that it was necessary at the time when the virtual safety car came.
Oh, okay, so you're saying the time. Okay.
And I also think that if they kept him out a little bit longer, they could have given him a faster tire at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's strategy that screwed up their race. And I said that at
It
the
is,
beginning.
yeah. I can say that Vettel drove a really good race.
Yeah, and the last 2 races, Ferrari was more reactive than being proactive. Ferrari, in the first few races, they called the strategy for the races. They were
And when
forcing
they
the
do that, they
strategies.
win.
Yeah, but this time they functioned on a reactive strategy, and their reaction wasn't that great, or the reactive strategy wasn't that great. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because Vettel stopped first, and we all expected him to. I think what's throwing them off is just back to the tires again, and I'm not going to talk about the change in construction, but I think what's throwing them off is that you have this the soft tires that was actually slower than the super soft tires.
I've never seen
time
that.
around, which is kind of a weird conundrum to have.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom that when you think about Formula One. You have your grades of tires, and you know which one's quick and which one shouldn't be quick. And then you come out and you start to think about strategy, and everything is kind of a toss-up after that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially if the tire compound changes.
And-
Nothing like beating a dead horse, guys.
Yes, I know. They did resurface the
track.
track, right?
Yeah.
So you think that had anything to do with it?
It's possible. It's quite possible.
I can't believe we're almost at the end, and now we're going to talk about Verstappen.
Wait,
No, we're gonna
did
keep
nobody get excited when they saw the 2 Red Bulls starting first of all beside each other,
Yes,
and then
yes.
secondly there was quite a bit of Ricardo following.
Yeah, and I think
Verstappen.
Ricardo said he was. I think Ricardo was faster than him.
But then he fell off.
At
Then
one
he
point,
fell
then
off,
he
yeah.
fell back. Yeah, but I know you guys were a little nervous at that start. I know. When you have Max Verstappen right behind you in a long straight like that, you guys get real nervous.
But it's so weird that he runs into the Williams.
Well,
Oh my
just
god! Under safety.
in Max Verstappen's defense, he has to run into something. So if there's a Williams there, then easy pickings, and he can just take down the Williams.
Correct.
And keep.
He's
it
got to
moving.
hit something. So
Yeah.
I mean,
In Max's defense, I think his reaction was a little fast coming off of the safety car, and I think who you ran? Stroll.
Lance Stroll.
I don't
Wasn't as
think.
quick?
Yeah, it wasn't as quick.
Or he could have just ran it.
Yeah, he could have just no. But in his defense, I think
just to keep the streak going.
You can't disappoint the Verstappen
Have you guys
fans.
checked out Crash Stappen's website?
yeah.
Well, he struck again.
No, there's a website called Crash Stappen.
They have to reset the clock.
Yeah, they reset a clock every time he hits something. So
That's pretty funny. From there on, it was pretty smooth cruising down. He didn't really come down to a lot of pressure from Vettel. I guess we all expected that Vettel would make a charge at him, but for some reason the Ferrari wasn't able to get on terms with him.
Guessing it's the tires, Chris.
You said it, not me.
Look, a car that's been quick all year comes to a track that there's nothing much different about the other tracks, right? That they came to. The only change is obviously the package. All the cars packages changed this for this race. The major
including
change,
Pirelli's. Go ahead,
correct.
say it.
And no, but I'm saying the major change was the tire. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can think about that would affect one team's performance.
Yeah, I think overall the race was good. Not as action-packed as we expected it to be. We don't know what Monaco is going to hold. Maybe Monaco is going to be another snoozer. But I think after that, it's Montreal. And Montreal is always a great race.
It's sad that we're not going this year. But
Yes.
Yeah,
Sad.
Monaco is always sad. I think if I have to think about something to summarize this race is that Lewis Hamilton did what he was supposed to do when Ferrari was down. So Ferrari was down in this race, and Lewis Hamilton capitalized on every bit of it, and he was able to walk away with a pole and a win, and probably your fastest lap too. I'm not sure.
I think
I think Ricardo got the fast. Yeah,
I think so.
But what I'm saying is that for the past 3 races, this is what Ferrari needed to do when Lewis Hamilton was down. They needed to extract maximum performance or maximum results, right? And they didn't. And now here comes Lewis Hamilton extracting maximum result on Ferrari when Ferrari is down. It's what Rosberg said about Hamilton. You have to take it when he's down. You take everything that you can when he's down. Ferrari and Vettel didn't do that in the past 3 races, and here's Hamilton back on point with his racing, and he's taking maximum when Ferrari's down. So
yeah, I mean, look at how much he's leading the point standings now.
Yep.
17.
17
points.
And Mercedes is really up with regard to the constructor. It's 153 to 126.
And that's why Mark is an analyst and we're not, because because of that piece of talking right there.
No, I'm just saying, when you think about it from the grand perspective, you can see that where Ferrari is failing when he's not performing. You're supposed to extract the maximum when your main competitor is down.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So
all right.
Yep.
With that said, we'll wrap it up here and
look out for our Purple Sector podcast coming later in the week.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And I know in the first episode we're going to cover the fantasy league that F1's created and how I'm leading the points right now between all of us.
Good stuff. All right. If you liked our video, be sure to hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, give us some feedback, reach out. We're always ready to talk Formula One. I know either one of us will ready to respond to you if you reach out as well.
Yes,
sure will.
And again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. We're sorry we're doing this on Mother's Day. I'm sure we're going to be hearing about it later. So,
all right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.